South Africa's landmark case against Israel at the International Court of Justice has received mixed reactions globally. Pretoria is alleging Israel is committing genocide in Gaza. Israel denies the charges and claims its actions in Gaza are self-defense. Let's bring in now Cristiano, who is a former lecturer and senior research fellow at the South African Research Chair in International Law. Cristiano, thank you for making time for us this afternoon. So since South Africa took Israel to the ICJ, there have been other countries that also launched court challenges. I saw that Indonesia is taking Israel to the same court over the illegal occupation in Palestine. Chile and Mexico are dragging Israel to the ICC for crimes against humanity. So more and more pressure seems to be piling up.
Yes, thank you so much, Clement, first of all, for having me here, and I'm glad to try to give to provide my ideas on that. Yes, there are more pressure, but until now, I personally don't think that it will create a decisive pressure over Israel. First of all, you mentioned Indonesia. Indonesia is not even part of the Genocide Convention, and unfortunately, in the words of the foreign minister of that country, they are not really available to endorse very much South Africa in this case, simply because also Indonesia, unfortunately, has a past of mass killings and genocide toward East Timorians. So let's say that the Indonesian endorsement is very light. Different is the case of Mexico and Chile, that they address the ICC. And the ICC prosecutor, Karim Khan, said that although Israel is not part of the statute, so he won't accept in any case the jurisdiction of the ICC. In any case, prosecutor Karim Khan said that the ICC is also accountable for trying to do more, research and analysis on the situation. But let's say that these interventions are very important because there is more and more sensibility in the world about this situation. But legally speaking, at the moment, I don't think that they can be very decisive in changing the cards on the table.
Okay. So out of all these legal bids, which one has a higher likelihood of success?
Possibly, for what I said, possibly it's more the ICC that can more go into the topic and try to, because the ICC in any case is differently from the ICJ. The ICC is analyzing the situation of individual. ICJ is just, it can be just, you can just claim their dispute settlement among states. But as I mentioned, the problem is that the Israeli is not part of the International Criminal Court. And in any case, it's very difficult also to detect the individuals that should be made accountable for the alleged genocide. Because, it's, the Israeli government will protect them anyway. I don't think that we hand over to a prosecutor that they don't even recognize, the power, any of their, of their citizens. So at the moment I'm skeptical over the two initiatives, to be honest. That's my opinion.
There are now 6 Western countries that have filed a joint application to the ICJ arguing for an ample and expansive understanding of genocide. What does genocide mean? Because it seems to be what is contentious right now, even in Israel defending themselves in court and in South Africa arguing against Israel. So what is genocide and what constitutes as genocide?
Yes, well, we have, differently from other concepts that are not very well defined in international law, for genocide we have a definition, that is Article 2 of the 1948 Genocide Convention. And, it's more or less defined, it's defined as a crime that is committed with the intent to destroy national or ethnic or racial or religious groups. These 6 countries, they asked for a revision of this definition. But first of all, these countries they made a claim not under this case, but on the case of genocide of Rohingya, so the case the Gambia versus Myanmar. And moreover, for example, among them there are countries like Germany who openly has expressed their endorsement to the right of self-defense of Israel in this case. So I'm not really sure that they will go into deep. They will go into deep in this specific case of Germany or of South Africa versus Israel. But what I would like to point out is that for the provisional measure that South Africa has requested, the bar is lower in the sense that the ICJ just need to realize if the genocide is plausible. So they don't need ICJ at this point of time doesn't need to to detect if a genocide is really happening or not, but only if it's plausible to apply this provisional measure requested by South Africa.
Yeah. So South Africa has presented its case, right, in the ICJ. So from your own experience and in your view, I mean, when you look at the manner in which Israel has, in fact, conducted itself, or the intention with which Israel is conducting this war, is there genocidal intent? And do you think South Africa faced a difficult task in proving that? Because the burden of proof lies with us.
I will honestly think that it will be very difficult to prove that Israel is committing genocide because, first of all, yes, there are the affirmation of several ministers in the Netanyahu government proclaiming for the destruction of Palestine. But apart that, Netanyahu said that these are a personal view of the ministers, and said that the view of the government in its entirety is not for a genocide of Palestinians. But moreover, what is in history the genocide that we remember actually is the Nazi genocide against Jews. So is the Nazi Germany as a state looking like for the present Israel? Of course it's not. Israel is a democratic state. There is an ample opposition that is against the politics of Netanyahu government in Palestine. You can see regularly showdown and regular demonstration in Israel of people that are against the politics of this government. You have the role of the civil society. You have the diaspora that is largely against that. So I think that it would be, very difficult to demonstrate that there is a state like Israel that, moreover, was born from a history of genocide that will commit genocide in Palestine. Mm. So I personally think that this would be very difficult to demonstrate. Leaving aside, of course, the political endorsement that Israel is receiving, we receive by very powerful countries, but just analyzing the attitude of Israel at the moment, I don't think it will be very easy to demonstrate the genocide of Israel towards Palestinians.
Yeah, and there was a video that South Africa demonstrated there showing soldiers singing a song with lyrics baying for blood of their opponents. And also, is that evidence of genocidal intent? Or even that video of politicians who are making genocidal statements? Because then the other question is, how do you prove causality?
No, exactly. But, war is war, Clement. In war you will always have this kind of people, more radical people that they want to destroy the enemy. And, the difference is that now in the age of social media we have videos, but you think that in the past wars or other ongoing wars, even in Africa, there are no soldiers that would like to destroy the opponent? Of course there are, but is this sufficient to demonstrate the will of an entire country to destroy an entire population.
Yeah.
Personally, I don't think. I mean, I think that it's very light what they, and moreover, for the minister, as I mentioned you before, Netanyahu, I mean, explicitly said and formally said that the view of the government is distant from what this two, I think there were two ministers, they said. But of course, under a political point of view, Netanyahu still needs this minister because they support the government. But yeah, so, you know, I don't think there are conclusive proof what they've brought until now by South Africans to show that Israel has an intent of to commit genocide in Palestine. Or maybe there will be other proof in the future that they will show in a more conclusive way this intention of Israel. I don't know, of course, but the one that you mentioned, in my opinion, they are not really strong to affirm that Israel has a genocidal intent towards Palestinians.
So if there are provisional measures, if the court comes up with provisional measures as South Africa has sought, what's that likely to look like? And will Israel be forced to sort of adhere to those? And will those only be applicable to Israel and not Hamas?
Well, as I said, the ICJ is just intervening in conflict among states. So ICJ cannot decide measures to be applicable on Hamas, but can decide measure be applicable on Palestine, but not on Hamas, because as I said, Hamas is not a state. Of course, Israel, I mean, there is no mechanism of enforcement. Of course, Israel will be free to apply this provisional measure if they will be adopted by the ICJ. And if it will decide not to do it, they can always defer the case to the Security Council. But the Security Council, we have a country, a permanent member like the U.S. that already showed the endorsement to Israel, that has a power of veto in the Security Council. So you understand that, you know, it would be, I mean, it would be the good willing of Israel if applying this provisional measure or not, if they will be adopted. Above all, you know, at the end of this year, there will be also new elections in the U.S. So, I mean, possibly if they will be elected, the government will be even closer to Israel. I mean, it would be very difficult. But, of course, there can be pressure. There can be pressure put on Israel. They can, you know, also to try to negotiate that several measures can be implemented, and several will not. But under a specific legal point of view, as I said, really it depends a lot on the will of Israel. Otherwise, you know, maybe the U.S. will surprise us, and if the case would be brought to the Security Council, he won't apply the veto and he will consent. And they will enforce Israel to apply the provisional measure. Who knows? I mean,
well, Cristiano, thank you so much for making time for us. Cristiano Deossi is a former lecturer and senior research fellow at the South African Research Chair in International Law. Here's